Alright guys, before we start the video, I'm going to show you some fan mail that I got. First piece of fan mail. And here it is. Got a little letter. A little drawing of me. To Dave Genvy fan mail. It says, "Dear Dave Genvy, hi, I love your videos and I really like what you say on YouTube. I also think all the people who call out to fight will lose, you'll win the fight. Please can you shout me out in your next vid, thank you. From your biggest fan, Riley." And he's done a little picture of me, look. Looking like the devil and all that, with the horns. Dave Genvy. Little picture of me looking big, muscly, hard bastard. And then, yeah, you got this Dave Genvy fan mail. Now I thought, oh, isn't that nice? But then God whispered in my ear. He said, "Dave, you need to have a look again, because that ain't fan mail, it's actually hate mail." God said to me, "Turn this over." And it said that on the back, "Be careful." And then God pointed out to me that these represent blades. See it, blades, the way he's done that. And then these marks on the throat represent my throat being cut. You see how he's put these lines? Yeah. So this is something, God pointed it out to me, I wouldn't have figured it out on my own. This is something, right, that the lizard boy bitches that don't like me often do. I'm trying to show the monkeys. They do these hidden messages. They want to like slag you off, but then you not realise you're being slagged off. Now, not all lizard boys are bad. There are some good lizards out there. But there's a lot of cunts that don't like me. Is it jealousy? Who knows what it is? But well, I've been offering them out for punch up for fucking forever and a day. You know, fair punch up, fair scrap. This little bitch here trying to threaten me with knives or something, like a veiled threat, hate mail. It's actually hate mail. But it's pretending to be like, you know, we're nice, we like you. Lizard boy bitches. Little pussies with their little hidden messages. So it's just something as a monkey man you gotta be aware of. They do like doing that. And I think, you know, if you spot it, just pull them up on it, because they fucking hate it when they get spotted on it. When a lizard boy, a bitch, is trying to insult you, but trying to pretend that he's not, and you spot it, just call him on it and say, "Hang on, you're a lizard boy, a bitch," doing a little hidden message insult. It's like, "Fuck off, you little cunt." I'll tell you how we sort it. Punch up. And see who's actual fucking man, or just a fucking bitch. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's up to the fucking lads around here to come round with the fucking knives to stab me up. I think I'm going to be waiting a long fucking time for that to happen, because if it hasn't happened already, you know, by now, it's not going to happen. I'm a good guy here to do good things. If you go down to hell, it's on you. And this bitch trying to be clever, the little twat who's done this, you know. He might have outsmarted me with his little hidden message, but he didn't outsmart God, you know what I mean? So that's why you want to be a friend of the Almighty, because he'll look out for you from little dickheads like this. Isn't that right, Riley? Smiley Riley. You know for a fact Smiley Riley, that's his name, from your biggest fan, Riley. You know for a fact, if you did come round here, you get with a knife, you get battered, and then you'd have the Glasgow smile, wouldn't you? Like the Joker, Heath Ledger's Joker in the Dark Knight. I'd cut him up fucking there, make him all smiley. Smiley Riley, then be known as, wouldn't you, you little bitch? Yeah, isn't that fucking right? So that's what I say to the people who make death threats to me or fucking hate mail. Come fucking bring it, you little cunts. You little bitches. I'm God's fighting machine, and you're just fairy boy mincers. Anyway, let's get on with the video. Hi guys, Dave Genvy here, aka Bad Boy Genvy, aka Satan. Yeah, I'm the devil himself. That's who I am. Working here for God. I'm the guy that runs hell. Hell's a real place. I've proven that to you. Showing you the screens. From hell, the audio of the screams of hell. Just Google them on YouTube. You'll find shit on the internet trying to make out it's lies. Is it bullshit? You know, it's the real deal. Bore hole to hell. You hear the screams of hell. Real place. Some of you cunts are going there because you don't deserve to go to heaven. You just don't deserve it because you're pieces of shit. You're on a test. You got to live your life right. If you don't, you're in serious shit. But what God understands is everyone needs an opportunity to be able to do well in life. There's a lot of people in this world who haven't got a good opportunity to do well because, you know, they're born into poverty. That needs to change, but it's going to take a lot of work from humanity, both reptile and monkey working together. We have to get more earths as well. We'll sort this earth out. There's a lot to do. As a monkey man, as I keep telling you again and again and again, you need to get your money into Wisdomtree CRUD. Links your money to the price of crude oil. Yes, the price will fluctuate, but the general trend at the moment's upwards. The price will go, you know, some days it'll be down. But that's going to protect you against inflation. Big inflation that's coming in the Great Reset. I'm here to tell you, from God. You know, working for God to tell you how to keep yourself safe. Remember, you can't go against the Almighty. It's not like the devil works against God. How can I? God's the boss. God is the boss of it all. So it's not like, you know, me and God are fighting it out. It don't work like that. You know, I'm his worker. Servant, I suppose. So get your money into Wisdomtree CRUD. Keep telling you that. We're going to talk about the British royal family again. Just a bit of backstory, really, on King Charles. He actually went to a school called Gordonstoun. That was his school as a kid. And I think while he was there, I think he had to wear a kilt. I'm not entirely sure. But that school has been described as a paedophiles playground. I'm not sure it is now. I think King Charles now has sorted it out, I'm hoping. Yeah, so it's not like that anymore. But back when King Charles was there, it was described as a paedophile's playground. And it's the reason, I think, he never sent Prince William or Prince Harry there, because he didn't want them to get molested. So even King Charles, he's not all bad. He wanted better for his kids in Harry and William. You know, there's a lot wrong with King Charles. There's a lot that he ain't done right, but at least he did that. So I'm hoping as well that school's been sorted out, in that King Charles has sorted it so it's not a paedophile's playground anymore, even though he has done child abuse himself, King Charles. It's part of this initiation rite the Greys had him doing, to be part of the fucking royals, so the Greys could drop him in the shit at a later date, make him look bad. The whole thing's utterly ridiculous. I'm here to try and straighten all this mess out, because it is a mess. So there's a bit of backstory on King Charles. The other thing I need to talk about, this is important, this is a really fucking important one, and he talks about this. In God's eyes, circumcision should not happen. So a lot of little boys, baby boys, young boys, are circumcised, you know, on earth. And in God's eyes, that is genital mutilation. It's child abuse. There's absolutely no reason why a little boy should get a circumcision. A little defenceless child has his penis attacked by a doctor with a scalpel. It's utterly fucking ridiculous. The foreskin is there to cover the bell end, the glans it's called. The bell end, let's just call it the bell end, keep it simple. The foreskin's there to cover the bell end for a reason, you stupid fox. It's there to protect the bell end so it stays sensitive, so that when, you know, sex happens, he gets an erection, the man gets an erection, his old, you know, adult, gets an erection and sex is going to happen, the foreskin pulls back and exposes that bell end where there's all like a concentration of nerve endings. So he's got a full sensitive bell end so he can get aroused during sex to the, you know, maximum amount. Whereas if you remove that protective covering, that foreskin, when that boy grows into a man, that penis, that bell end, is then exposed, it gets rubbed in his trousers and all sorts. And it's kind of like his bell end won't be as sensitive as what it could be if it had that protective covering of the foreskin. What you've tried to do, you stupid doctors and these Jewish idiots, because I think it's a thing in the Jewish religion, what you've tried to do, very stupidly, because you're morons, is try and improve on God's design, on the Almighty's design of a man. And obviously, you haven't done. You've gone and fucked up the design. Do you understand me? So if you're someone who does circumcision, right, from this point forth, you're going to be viewed as a fucking child abuser by God. And they go into the worst parts of hell. That's how it is. I don't give a fuck about some Jewish rabbi who might be pissed off. You know, just say things like, well, that's how we've always done it. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a flying fuck how you've always done things in the past. Because guess what? You were doing them fucking wrong. Leave the little boy's penis alone. You know, I think they make some fucking argument. Some doctors who are fucking idiots make the argument, oh, it's better for hygiene if you don't have a foreskin. I've never heard such a bag of shit in my life. What you're supposed to do, every time you have a fucking shower, which is supposed to be every day or every other day, right? Every time you have a fucking shower, you pull back your foreskin and you use soap and water to clean it. Every fucking time. That's what you're supposed to do. And you won't have a problem then with hygiene. So don't make some bullshit excuse to me that removing the foreskin is better for hygiene. You're just supposed to wash your penis every time you have a shower, which should be, well, it should really be every day, but every other day, let's say. Yeah? Simple stuff. So I'll tell you Jewish doctors or Jewish rabbis or whatever the fuck and whoever else, circumcision, you shouldn't be doing it. It's genital mutilation of a child. It's child abuse. Simple as that. You're not giving that child the option. It's like, you know, he's just a little baby or whatever, little boy. You're not giving the option to not have his fucking penis messed with. So get your fucking hands off little boys' penises, you little twats. Really fucking wine's got up no end. It's utterly fucking disgraceful. So I hope I made my point clear on that one. I've got a sex tip for the ladies now, yeah? So I told you how to do blowjobs. As a woman, blowjob, you got a penis, the fingernail is the bell end. You don't have to like deep throat the whole shaft because most of the nerve endings are in the bell end. Yeah, so that's how you do blowjobs really. You mix in some other moves, but that's your main. You concentrate on the bell end, sucking off the bell end. That's where all the sensation is. Now a move you can do in sex, right? Say you're shagging your man, yeah? Because I told you the women need to be masters of sex. I'm just going to show you. Let's put the camera on the sofa. Imagine that's his penis, right? That's your vagina, yeah? And the fingernail is his bell end, right? You get your vagina, right? And you just move it up and down quickly on the bell end. Yeah? Rather than making it go all the way down the shaft like that. Yeah? Now, for a woman, it's nice to feel a man deep inside her. So she might want to mix it up. Sometimes she wants him to go deep inside her. But if she really wants to get him to come quickly, she might want to just get that vagina and just move it back and forth just over the bell end. And if he's got any cum in his balls, it should make him come quicker. So there's another little tip, sex tip for the ladies. And if you've got them couple of moves, you can do there's other things you can do. Shove a finger up his arse when he's shagging you. Up his arse, that's another one. That puts pressure on his prostate as he's fucking you. I don't know, there's probably loads of other moves, but those are two main ones for you. A lot of ladies won't know that little move, you know, just bouncing up and down, just on his bell end. You pussy. Make sure you support that weight on your knees when you're doing it. Because obviously it's a move you're probably going to be on top when you do. And, you know, you want to be supporting your knees. You don't want to be a reckless rider. Because, especially if he's a badass, his penis is very important to God. He's a badass fighting man. Because you need badass fighting men to get new earths. Simple stuff. So that's a sex tip for the ladies there. Now, something else we're going to talk about now. We're going to talk about the British royal family's, in my view, obsession with football. The British royal family conquered the world however long ago, right? They took over from the Romans back in the days of Henry VIII. Pretty much, and they duked it out with the French, the Napoleonic Wars. They sunk the Spanish Armada, whatever the fuck that was. I think that was in the 1500s. They said fuck you to the Romans in Rome. Said, you know, we're gonna have our own church, the Church of England. We're the boss of it all. The British became the boss, mostly because of their ability with sailing. They're very good sailors. And they mapped the world. That's why London and UK is the centre of global maps. Because the British are the ones who map the world, and they're the ones who run the world. The British royal family are the boss of the world. But since they conquered the world, they sort of got total power. They're not having to fight anymore. So what they became interested in is football, soccer to the Americans. The British royal family is something not that well known. It's a bit well known, but not that well known. Take football very, very, very seriously. Queen Elizabeth II took football very, very seriously. She wouldn't say it publicly. You wouldn't know about it publicly, but trust me, she did. And I'm going to prove to you stuff that shows they did. But the Prince William was actually, I think until recently, Prince William, president of the FA. The FA is the Football Association in England. So he's actually president of the FA. So he's very into football. He's very open with it. He would go to Aston Villa Football Club. That's his club that he supports very regularly to watch him play. His son, George, Prince George, very into football too. They're a football family. Now, one of the reasons they're a football family is because they're actually a German family. So they're Germanic. Their allegiance is actually more to Germany than it is to England or the UK. Believe it or not, because that's where their family originated from. Yeah, and being German, right? in Germany, football is the #1 team sport by a mile. In England, we have rugby, we have cricket. There's a bit more selection. But in Germany, if you're German, it's all about football. If you're, a German man or even woman, that's the team sport. That's their main team sport, because the British royal family are German. They identify themselves as German. Football's what they're all about. In the Romans' eyes, they're just Germanic tribes that were put in power by the Romans, but eventually the Romans went too soft under the popes. They used to have Roman emperors. It was all about being hard bastards. And then Christianity come in. You had the popes, and then they went all soft then. They lost a lot of their power because of that. Because it weren't about being hard bastards anymore. And they weren't very good at sailing. The Romans are not natural sailors, so they're better at fighting on the land. I've talked about this before. But Prince William, president of the FA, so he's was heavily involved in football. As far as I'm aware, he's dead now. Or he's very, very ill. If he's not dead, he's very ill. So he's not doing that job anymore. But the British royal family, their allegiance is to Germany, being a Germanic family. So they will publicly support English clubs and support England football team. But it's secretly they support German club, which I think is Bayern Munich. And privately they support Bayern Munich. And privately they'll support Germany in terms of, international football. They don't support England. And I'm going to prove it to you now. Something that happened back in the 50s, 66 years ago, on the 6th of February, 1958, was the Munich air disaster. The Munich air disaster was where Manchester United, my team, the Red Devils, that's the nickname of Manchester United, had a great team. They had a really great young team, and that team, with some great players in it, was in a plane crash, Munich air disaster. And a number of players died, including one of the great players, or sort of one of the great young players at that time, Duncan Edwards, who's actually from near here. I live in Birmingham, and he's from Dudley, which is not far from here. And they had this plane crash, Munich air disaster, and happened in Munich, obviously. Bad weather, and the aircraft name was Lord Burleigh. Now, Lord Burleigh, the aircraft name was Lord Burleigh. Now, the guy the plane was named after, William Cecil, 1st Baron Burleigh, was actually a chief advisor for Queen Elizabeth I. Now, the British royals are very backward looking. Like, they know a lot about their history in terms of, who came before them, in terms of monarchs. They're very into all that, the history of their family. And the Queen, what the reason she had, what I'm going to say now, I'm just going to say it. She had that plane, the Munich air disaster plane, sabotaged. It's not coincidence. It's named after the chief advisor for Elizabeth I, Baron Burleigh, William Cecil Baron Burleigh. She was Queen Elizabeth II. The reason she wanted to sabotage that plane and have that plane crash and kill people on board that plane and decimate that team that was known as the Busby Babes, Manchester United's team, that's what they were called, the Busby Babes, was because they wanted the World Cup in England. The British royal family wanted the World Cup in England in 1966. So they were planning to have it in 1966, the World Cup. And the World Cup was held there in England, because obviously they're the most powerful family in the world. We won the World Cup in England, 1966. Why? Because they like to think of themselves, the British Royals, as the devils. They're not the devil, I am. They want to think of themselves as, 666. We're the devils. But obviously, turns out they're not. I am. And King Charles has shat his pants about all this. He's really scared of going down to hell. So he should be. He's in for it. So they wanted the World Cup, 1966, their number, 66, the devil's number, because they like to see themselves as devils, little idiots. They should have been aligning themselves with God in heaven. They should have been good. If you're a good person, you align yourself with number 7, God in heaven. You don't want to align yourself with me, Mr. 6, Satan, the devil in hell. You don't want to align yourself with that. The way you get to heaven, you just be a good person. It's pretty straightforward. But they stupidly wanted to align themselves with the devil. So they had the Munich air disaster where they butchered the Busby Babes in a plane crash to sabotage England football team's chances in 1966. You say, you sure, Dave? Yeah, I'm sure. It's too much of a coincidence. I'm going to show you more things in a bit. But they didn't want England football team to win the 1966 World Cup. As it was, England football team did win the 1966 World Cup, and they actually beat West Germany in the final 4-2. They beat them by 4-2. So they beat them by 2 goals. 4 plus 2 makes 6. Anyway, and England were actually wearing red in that game. Their kit they were wearing was actually red, not white. So they still managed to produce a really good team to win that World Cup. But the German royal family, which actually the British royal family, wanted to sabotage them as early back as 1958. Get rid of this young team. Get rid of these Busby Babes. There's all these good players in this team. Bobby Charlton was on that plane. He survived. He survived and he played in 1966. One of England's greatest ever players. But that team was butchered to really hamper England football team's chances at the 1966 World Cup, which the Queen, Elizabeth II, who takes football very, very seriously, wanted West Germany to win. Football in Germany, in terms of the youth setup, is run a lot better than it is here. In this country, if you're a big, strong player that's good with the ball, say you're like a Zidane or a Cantona, right, or a Ginola, David Ginola, who's a player I've talked about before, tall, strong, fast, and you're seen in the youth system as having them qualities, often you're held back in football. You're not allowed to progress through the ranks in English football. But in German football, it's totally the opposite. They want all their players to be tall, strong, fast. Whereas we have players, they're still good players, like Phil Foden, small, skinny guys that are allowed through. Still a really good player. But there might have been someone like an English Zidane that's held back. Because the British Royals, who run the world, don't want England football team being able to present their best team, because secretly they don't want England football team to win a single thing. And as it was, ironically, the one they really didn't want them to win was the 1966 World Cup, which they did win. Now, Queen Elizabeth II never went to another football game again. She was actually at that game when England was victorious over Germany 4-2. She never went to another game until Euro 96 final. England had lost on penalties in the semi-final to Germany, and then she went to watch the final of Euro 96 because she's German. I mean, they speak with an English accent and they're British, but their allegiance is to Germany. They're a very backward-looking family. They view themselves as German before they're British or English. What we're going to look at now is England's captain, Bobby Moore, collecting the World Cup at Wembley in 1966. The first thing to notice is you've got Phillip, Prince Phillip there. That's Queen Elizabeth II's fella, her husband. There's Bobby Moore, right? So he's going to walk across to the left. We've actually got it on slow-mo at the minute. We've got it on 0.25 speed. Got it 0.25, got the sound off. Now, Philip's here. His forehead's going. Like, you see a reptilian shape shift in a minute. Watch his forehead, you might see it. This here, this line here. Then you can see that. Keep playing it. And it disappears, right? Now that's Phillip. Phillip was furious that England had just won the World Cup because they wanted Germany to win it. They wanted West Germany to win it. And he's furious. They'd gone to all the trouble of sabotaging Matt Busby's team, the Busby Babes, in the Munich air disaster to try and sabotage the England team for 1966, and it hadn't worked. England had still won 4-2. We're going to have so obviously he's furious, and that's what often happens with the reptilians, like when they're put under pressure or they're angry or they're disgusted or they're nervous, that's when you see their camouflage begin to malfunction. Right, so Bobby Moore comes across to the left. Now the Queen Elizabeth II's here, gets his medal. Now, if you actually watch her, she's gutted. She's absolutely gutted. But Bobby Moore, the gentleman that he is, cheers her up a little bit. He does a little sort of curtsy bow. He bows a little bit, and that cheers her right up. She always liked that, so that made her feel a little bit better. But underneath this happy exterior, she's really pissed off. Now, if you notice what she's wearing this yellow dress with this yellow feathered hat. Now that is to represent this flag. You got the German flag. You got like the gold yellow sort of in there. And if you actually look at this flag here, you see that black bird on the German flag. Well, she's got black hair. When she was young, she had very dark hair. And she's got the yellow feathered hat, the black hair, which, you know, is the colour of her hair. She's got this yellow dress on to represent that on the German flag, which, ironically, is quite funny. It's actually the banner of the Holy Roman Emperor, because these Germanics, they were only put in place by the Romans. And I'm the hardest Roman emperor of them all. I'm Satan working for God in heaven. Rome needs to get back on top again now. Because the problem with these Germanics, they've gone all soft. If you notice, the British royal family are doing fuck all about me. They know all about me. They're only 2 hours down the road. They're doing fuck all about me because they're They're pussies now. They've gone soft. It's the same that happened to Rome. Rome went soft under the popes. After Christianity come in, they sort of embraced the whole love and peace thing from Jesus too close to heart. You're supposed to be nice to one another, love and peace, but you're not supposed to totally lose your ballsack. You know what I mean? Lose your balls entirely. But then I suppose the British needed to take over because the Romans were never going to be good sailors. They did need the British to get them sailing ships going to conquer the world, which they did. So yeah, the Queen there, she's trying to be this bird at this event. She's handing over the trophy to Bobby Moore. Now it's quite funny. Bobby Moore's actually, he's got this red top on and he's number 6. Of course he is. So he's got number 6 on his back. And the Queen was devastated about this. I think the white gloves, I was trying to think what the white gloves represent. There is white in there as well. But I'm not quite fully sure what the white gloves represent. Trying to say, I don't know, he's got white gloves on, so I'm an angel, but really, I'm a devil. And as it was Bobby Moore with the 6 on his back with the red top on who collected the trophy. Now, the Jules Rimet trophy. Oh, yeah, and also, I just wanted to say something else. Yeah, just to prove that point. Queen Elizabeth II's, yeah, put on Google, never went to another football match after 1966. That is confirmed. Queen Elizabeth II was not a huge football fan. That's bullshit. That's a total lie. That July 1966 afternoon, Bobby Moore got the trophy, blah, blah, blah. Shot. Jules Rimet trophy. She never attended another game until the Euro 96 final. So the Euro 96 tournament was on English soil again. England versus Germany. She didn't attend. The semi-final in that tournament, Euro 96, she didn't attend because she didn't want to jinx it and have a repeat of what had happened 30 years earlier in 1966. She didn't want a repeat of that. As it was, Germany won on penalties, and then she did attend the final when it was against the Germany versus the Czech Republic, and the Germans won. So that would have been a happy day for her. The Germans winning on English soil. A major tournament in Euro 96. So, but yeah, she's a massive fan of football. Now, the Jules Rimet trophy, so let's go back to that. So this trophy here, the Jules Rimet trophy. Well, at the next World Cup in 1970, Brazil won that trophy off the English. And then that trophy was actually retired. Because the British Royals control the world, they're obsessed with football. Why are they obsessed? Because they want to have football wars now. The Napoleonic Wars ended whenever they ended. So they wanted to have wars, but like football wars. It's like real war, because those war games that they used to have, like France and Napoleon having a war game against the British with Wellington, like that, those war games, well, they are going to do them in the Great Reset. You're going to see an East versus West war to explain these oil prices going up. But they don't really do them in the same way anymore, these war games. So they're football wars instead. So that's why they do this. And the Germans, they're obsessed with football. That's their game. But that Jules Rimet trophy, it was retired after the 1970 World Cup because they wanted to put the memory of that trophy behind them. And then that trophy, after 1970, it was retired. It was given to Brazil to keep. I think because they'd won the World Cup 3 times or something. So they got to keep it. There's a rule the British royal family would have made because they didn't want England to win that trophy again. 13 years after the 1970 World Cup, in 1983, that trophy disappeared and it was never recovered. It disappeared in 1983, 13 years. The unlucky number, because the way the British Royals saw it, they were unlucky in 1966. So they wanted to just destroy their memory of that they lost. And they had this embarrassing situation where the Queen was dressed up as a German bird with her black hair. She's got the feathers. She's got the yellow outfit on, just like that bird there. And as it turns out, England won, even though they were the ones behind the Munich air disaster that decimated the Busby Babes, Manchester United's young team. Utterly stupid, isn't it? It's still, I mean, they mess with football all the time. English football's messed with all the time. I used to play with a young guy. I'm not going to say his name, but he was a tall, fast striker. And he got dropped. He wasn't allowed to progress in football. He got dropped from all the professional clubs he was at. Yet he was tall, fast, strong, and he knew how to score. He'd always get a goal. Reliable goal scorer. Guys like him, they don't want in English football. Guys who have, like the British Royals, they don't want a situation where the best genetic talent does well in football. I wasn't allowed to do well in football, but that's because I was really good at football. You see me juggling the golf ball. I'm not going to keep putting the clip up, but you see me, I was pretty damn good. I was a defensive player because I'm Roman. The Romans make the best defenders. But I wasn't allowed to progress because I'm not a proper reptilian. I'm Satan, so I'm different. But he wasn't allowed to progress, I think, because he was just too tall, too fast, too strong. And that's the sort of player that the British royal family don't want playing for England. Now, sometimes you'll get a player like a Beckham who will get through the youth system, right? And he's a small, scrawny player. He'll get through the youth system, and then suddenly he's a late bloomer. He's one of them guys who then just shoots up, like in his late teens. He shoots up, suddenly he's 6 foot tall. Although Beckham was never particularly, a strong player. But he was good, really good player. So sometimes that happens. But often with England, you get players, the players that get through the youth system, that are allowed to go through the youth system by the British Royals, are all small players, small, skinny players, and not necessarily the best players, because the British Royals don't want England doing well. They're all about Germany doing well in football. And they're secretly trying to sabotage the England team through who they let through. Interestingly, they will let some players through. Paul Gascoigne's a great example. Because Paul Gascoigne has a French name, his last name, Gascoigne, is a French name, and the British had such a tough time against the French with the Napoleonic Wars, they let Gascoigne go through. They let Gascoigne become, the big football star that he became. But he was only still a small player, Gascoigne, 5'8". So he wasn't a big, tall dude. And the French, I think, are allowed to have bigger players. They're allowed. Zidane, big guy, he's allowed to go through. Ginola was a tall guy. Cantona was a big guy. So, because they did well in the Napoleonic Wars, I think they sort of allow the French to do a bit better. but the England team's really held back. I suppose because they just view England, well, it was a colony, wasn't it? It's just a colony of their German Empire that was conquered actually by the Romans. Although all of Europe was conquered by the Romans. But I think that's why, I think because of the Napoleonic Wars, that's why the French are allowed to put out a physically bigger, stronger team. Player who's interesting in a minute is Jude Bellingham. Jude Bellingham was allowed to, I think it's a bit of a joke. I mean, he's a really good player, don't get me wrong. But Jude Bellingham is an English player who's doing really well at minutes in football. And I think they've took the piss out of him a little bit because of his name. I think because of his name, he's allowed to do well in football by the British royal family. Now, he might be a talented footballer, he might actually be, really good. But if he didn't have that name, it's very possible he wouldn't have had the amount of success that he's had. Jude. He's got Jude, right? So that links to Juden, the Germans' name for the Jews. Juden. Like the Jews. The Germans not a massive fan of the Jews, so he's got that name. He's black. Bellingham sounds like Buckingham. He's also got William as a middle name, and he's got Victor as in, victorious. All these things. Oh, and he's also from Birmingham, isn't he? Yeah, I think he's from the Midlands, near. I think he's from Birmingham, basically, really. It says Stourbridge, but that's near Birmingham. I think the British Royals tend to look down their nose a little bit at the guys from Birmingham, like me. I'll tell you why that is in a minute. But with Jude Bellingham, they'll look at him and say, well, his first name's Jude, like Juden. He's black. He's from near Birmingham. Right. Oh, well, we've got to help out this guy, haven't we? Because he's really not being helped, has he? And then Bellingham sounds like Buckingham. And then he's got William, as in Prince William, in his one of his middle names, and he's got Victor. So they've looked at that name and they've just thought, well, we've got to allow him to do well in football. But he shouldn't look at it. Guys like Phil Foden and Jude Bellingham, they should just look at it. Well, here we are. We've got this great opportunity. We're just going to do the best we can with it. And they have done. They've grabbed that opportunity with both hands, so fair play to them. But I'm almost 100% certain that this is a thing the British Royals do. They really look at football very seriously, and any talent, genetic talent, that they see in the youth system of English football, tall, strong, fast, they try to always knock it down. Not allow it to progress, basically. Get dropped. They get dropped in the youth teams and just get released to their Sunday league team or something. Never allowed to progress through the professional ranks of football. And, well, it's terrible. That's bad enough, but then to go to the length of killing Busby babes in a sabotaging their plane, that's fucking disgraceful. That really does get them in the shit. With God, obviously. So there's another player at the minute, who's a very famous player in England called Jack Grealish. He's a Birmingham guy from Birmingham, like me. And I think he's been held back in football now. He was doing really well for Man City, and he's just come off a season where supposedly he's had a lot of injuries and all of this, that and the other. And I wouldn't be surprised. It's got nothing to do with Jack Grealish. It's because the British Royals don't want a white Brummie, a white Birmingham lad doing well in football at the minute, because I'm a white Birmingham lad. that was good at football. There wasn't allowed to be a professional footballer. Whether I would have been good enough for the top flight, I don't know. Maybe with the right guidance, I might have been. But whatever, that, who cares? It doesn't matter to me. But that's the situation with the British Royals. They're complete nut jobs, really. I mean, to interfere with football in such a way, I think it's a real shame for the beautiful game. I really do. I do like football. Now, why don't the British Royals like Birmingham and guys like me, Brummies? Because we're known as Brummies if you're from Birmingham. I think they're just snooty. They look down our nose at us. They're a bit posh, aren't they? You know, speak like this, very posh. You know, they speak like that, so they don't like the Birmingham accent. How we speak in Birmingham, they think you know, it sounds a bit common. But the way I look at it, who gives a fuck? Because it's all about fighting, and they're pussies. I've been calling out fucking King Charles and William and all the fucking rest of them royals, and not one of them bitches, not one of them little fairy boy bitches has come to have a punch up with me. And that King Charles can use a shotgun. You know, he's king, innit? He knows how to use shotguns, and he's king of the world. And he's 2 hours down the road. I've been slagging that fairy boy bitch off no end, calling him what he is, a little fucking pedo, a little dirty pedo. And God in heaven's been fucking killing him with the fucking mind powers, and he's done fuck all to me. So you can look down your fucking nose, you little posh boy, at the Brummies, and look down your nose at me. But you can't fucking fight me, can ya? So that means your ass is mine, and it is in hell. So I get down to hell after I've finished here, trying to sort you out on earth, and, you know, getting you worse. I'm going to be going down to hell. And his ass is mine down there, that little posh bitch. But yeah, you might say, well, do they really look down their nose at Birmingham? Because Prince William is an Aston Villa supporter, and Aston Villa is a Birmingham club. Well, until very recently, their family crest, their like family Windsor family badge, was claret and blue. And Aston Villa home kit is claret and blue. Now, it's no coincidence that King Charles supports a Burnley club, supports Burnley, which is also claret and blue, right? And Queen Elizabeth II, her club, even though they actually support Bayern Munich, I think, her club was West Ham, which is a club in London, which again has a claret and blue kit. So Burnley in the north of the country, claret and blue. Aston Villa in the middle of the country, they have a claret and blue kit. And then in London, West Ham had a claret and blue kit. Now they've actually changed their family crest. They've changed it to this red, white and whatever. They've changed it. It used to be claret and blue. I'm sure they've just changed it recently. Because if you go here, the Royal House of Windsor has no single official colour. Right, so we've got with Google search Windsor family crest colours. There's no official colour. As long as been associated, white purity, gold for wealth, purple, violet and blue. See that? Purple, violet and blue. Yet, if you go on the crest now on Google Images, so just scroll down to Google Images, it's red and white. Well, I think it's changed to red and white. It never was red and white before, because if you notice here, it's white for purity, gold for wealth, purple, violet and blue for royalty and piety, right? Yeah, if you actually look at the crest now, it's red and white. Why? Because the devil's here. Big, red, scary fucking Roman. Big red Roman.